good morning. It's Sunday morning instead of Sunday at 6 p.m., which is when I usually do these go live talks. But I'm going to be in Palm Springs. I'm teaching a class this morning, and I'm going to head out on the road as soon as that class is over. So I thought I would just hop in here and get this recorded now and get this started so I could have it done. You know, consistency is the biggest thing, honestly. And I'm practicing that in so many areas of my life. I have to tell you that the last 5 or 6 years have been such an incredible place of growth for me, and really a growth mindset, that the realization that I have to just continue to take multiple little steps as opposed to giant leaps, and that change just happens over time. It doesn't happen overnight, which I think I felt in large part what I was often would stop myself before change could even happen, because I wouldn't see change in 1 or 2 weeks or a month or whatever. And now I've really come to realize, oh yeah, it's never going to happen like that. I just have to keep taking steps. And it doesn't even matter what size of the step it is. It's just a matter of keep on taking little steps that eventually look like giant steps or leaps when you're able to look back on it. But my gosh, why did it take me so long to learn that? Anyway, I've learned it. I don't even have to wonder about why. It doesn't matter why. I'm just so glad that I'm there and I'm learning it and sticking in with the things that I want to create and achieve, just continuing to do them. Anyway, what I'm saying is this particular live is this morning versus 6 p.m., which is when I usually do these. So I can get on the road and get to Palm Springs. So I'm talking today about rejection. This is my next topic in the live Moffitt Talks. It's a workshop that's coming up on April 28th. And I wanted to give us a primer to talk about this, because rejection is, first of all, it is often the thing that really stops us. When people think about the things that they want to go into, the things they want to do, when we talk about the fears that they have, one of the fears that often comes up, and it's usually one of the first fears that shows up in coaching, is fear of what other people think. And it is a protectionism. What we're trying to do is we're afraid of the rejection that we might experience from people. And here's the deal. I'm going to talk about these pathways to rejection that you're going to be aware of. We're all afraid of that. It's wired into us. We want to belong into something. And isn't it funny, if you're like me, when I experience this, I'm afraid of people rejecting me, A, that I don't even know, or B, that are really, if I really think about it, are inconsequential in my life. They really don't matter, but for some reason, I think of this person and I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they going to think if I do this thing? And it can stop us moving into rejection. And so I'm going to share from a vulnerable point here. This is an area that I have really struggled with for a long time, and which is why I wanted to talk about it. I'm still in the works of trying to move through my own fears of rejection. And I'll give you a real life example. I joined a really high-powered coaching group, and I feel like I am a flopping little goldfish amongst like steelhead salmon. And the first call that we had, one of the people was talking about an issue around money that they were having, that my head was melting. The money that they were thinking about asking for or putting an offer in. I was really like, what? So outside of my realm. And I could totally feel the hot sweats coming up, and you feel it the side and you're like, I don't belong here. This isn't my group. I don't belong here. I was like, okay, Deanna, this is the reaction that you get, of feeling like you don't belong. This isn't your group. And you're right. It isn't yet, but I'll get there. And one of the things that we're going to talk about in the workshop is how do we deal with our emotions, because in the face of rejection, because it is the emotions that keep us in that feared state. So how can we, feel those emotions, but then get into a more logical state? All right. So today I just wanted to share with you just a couple of truths about rejection. And the first one is just, let's be real. We are all going to experience rejection over and over and over in our lives. We can't stop it from happening. That is just going to happen. And let's be honest, if you've never experienced rejection, I don't know if you've ever really tried anything challenging or risky. Rejection belongs to the people who are stepping out and doing something brand new that they may even be uncertain about. And by avoiding rejection, we actually put ourselves in a worse situation. And that's the circumstances of never actually getting the things that we want. And so thinking about that, understanding that we're going to face rejection over and over again. And so hopefully, a little bit today, but really on the 28th, how can we set ourselves up for success in that understanding? How can we build some mental resilience around it and continue to thrive in situations where rejection is going to happen? Number two, that the solution to rejection is really within us. We can't change anybody else. Knowing that we are going to get rejected, right? Wishing we could change that other person. It's not going to happen. If you've ever been rejected in a relationship, I certainly have. Super painful. And understanding I can't change that person. All I can really do is change myself and how I react to change, right? And what happens is, for a lot of us, is we get the rejection, and it's called the multiple arrow effect, right? We die by multiple arrows. But the first arrow doesn't actually kill us. And that's the first arrow is the pain of rejection, but it's what happens to us afterwards. It's how we deal with the rejection, the stories we begin to tell about ourselves, because it was something I did, a flaw I have, it's a hidden character defect I have. This is going to go on, and how we interpret this rejection is going to make us spiral out. And so that's a big thing that we need to work on. And this is where what I was talking about at the very top, change doesn't happen overnight. And we have probably had years of conditioning on how to deal with rejection that hasn't probably served us. And so how can we change how we deal with rejection so we can just deal with it a little bit better? The next one is this idea that, listen, people are going to judge you all the time. That's just going to happen. But they're not a jury. They can't convict you of any personal crime in their judgment. And let's be real. I want you to imagine yourself in your highest state, the most joyful state you're in. How judgy are you of other people at that time? I mean, when I'm in my most present state, my most joyous state, my judgment of other people really just kind of goes out the window because I want to hang on to this good feeling. People judge when they're in a fear state. And you can't actually ever know really what's going on in their head or why they're judging so harshly unless you become curious about it. But letting their situation go and letting go of how they are judging you, because oftentimes their judgment is saying way more about them than it is about you. That has been one thing that has been truly helpful for me, is understanding we become way more judgy when we're in pain or when we're in fear. And that is on you, my friend. The person I'm talking to who's judging me, that's on them and says way more about them than it does about me in this situation. And then I love this idea. If we go into, because many times I'm dealing with new coaches who want to do new things, who are scared to get on social media and they don't want to know what to do. And, but really at that state, especially when you're new, you got nothing to lose. You got nothing to lose. And if you have nothing to lose, how would you show up? knowing that you have nothing to lose, right? And can you imagine what you could gain if you let go of what you think you could lose? Right? Because we hold on so tightly to this idea of, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this because I'm afraid I'm going to lose this and this and this. And it is stuff that you really can't lose. Honestly, if someone judges you or thinks differently about you, you have your core people. Brene Brown has a great exercise, which I love, where she asks you to put on a 1-by-1 inch sticky note the opinions of people who really matter to you. And those people, if you share with what you're going to do and they, have some thoughts or opinions of it, you can listen to those thoughts and opinions. Not that you even have to do anything with it, but you can listen to those. Everybody else gets a pass. If these people care about you, great. But everybody else, if they have judgments about what you're going to do, don't worry about it. And here's the thing. Oh my gosh, if you're going to do something that is scary or new and different, of course it's going to be judged, because other people have to then consider their own fears about why they're not doing something. I mean, it's a vicious cycle, right? But thinking about what do I really have to lose by doing this scary thing or in the face of rejection? The next one is this idea that the past is not your future. This is so critical, especially if you've been carrying around, I talk to a lot of people and I'll hear their stories that they're sharing about themselves. And I will often remind them that that is an old story that they're still carrying around. It's like a weighted ball and chain that they carry around, this story of who they were in the past. And they think this is still who they are or who they want to bring into the future. Oh, my friends, the past is not your future. You get to totally recreate who you are. And in fact, you constantly have been evolving. I bet you I'm not talking to anyone right now who is, still crawling around, sucking your thumb from diapers. Not that I totally understand that there are people who are in those situations, but many of us who've had healthy mindsets, physical bodies, have continued to evolve. And so in that state, I want you to know that every moment that you have is a moment of evolution, and you can choose to lean into it or lean away from it. And boy, I think it's a really great mind opener for us to remember that we're constantly evolving in this. So that's really it. When we take a look at what I shared with you today, is this idea that you're going to experience rejection. You can't stop it. It's just going to happen. It's going to happen again and again for many of us. And it's not stopping the rejection that matters. It's really how do we deal with the rejection and understand that it's way more of an internal issue than an external issue, because rejection can send us down a negative spiral. You know this, as anyone who's been there, and I think all of us have at one point or another, send us down a negative spiral that can feel really difficult to get back up. And that people, when they judge you, they're judging from their own belief system. And they're also judging from a fear-based mind. I often think about that. They're in pain when they're judging you. Because if we're in our most joyous state, we're feeling the greatest, the last thing we want to do is start judging other people, because that knocks down that joyous feeling. And honestly, you have nothing to lose. If you've got your little 1-by-1 inch little sticky note of the people who really matter to you, everyone else, you got nothing to lose. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. You have everything to gain, everything to learn and gain. And again, I know that it is easy to say this and way harder to do it. And that's why in the workshop I'm doing on the 28th, I want to actually give you some tools on how to do this a little bit better. And right now I'm just giving you a primer on this. And then lastly, oh gosh, your past is not your future. We've all screwed up. We've all failed. We've all been rejected. And we probably all reacted to that rejection in a way that didn't really help us so much, or send us down even more pain, giving more arrows into our pain. But you have an opportunity to evolve and change, and being conscious of how you do that and stepping into a new way of dealing with rejection so that you can really ask for and go after those things you want in life. That fear of rejection often stops us from really asking for or leaning into creating what we want in life. Woo! Sunday morning heat, y'all. And I still have a class to teach at the top of the hour. It's a pleasure to be here Sunday morning. Glad you are here. I'm usually here at 6 p.m., but I had to do it early this morning so I could teach this class and then hop in a car and head to Palm Springs. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all staying healthy and taking care of yourself. I'll see you around. Talk to you later, everybody. Bye.